Yes, hello. I am James Rowland, and today it's a WNR536. It's NXT update. Yes, it's NXT update. You have not missed a couple of weeks. We are postponing the AEW show till next week. Jackson and Gina can go into more detail then. So at the moment, it's just me. But luckily, I'm not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by a resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
How you doing? I'm going good. Good as I can be. A little. Still adjusting myself honestly to just everything that's going on in general in my life. But I'm here, like you mentioned, and excited to talk about NXT Halloween Havoc. It's that time of year. It just seems like it's always something these days. So it's really weird to how fast I feel like we're back talking about an NXT show. Not because of, even though I do acknowledge it's been a little while since we did one, it just feels like every other week when I tune in to NXT, they're telling me about another special. So it's funny. Funny how these things happen. I remember when we didn't have any live events, basically, or PLEs, so to speak. So it's very funny to see where we are now.
Well, this is the thing, and again, there's probably more NXT specials than we do podcasts at the moment. But again, people listening, it is difficult to try and get us all together. So, and again, people going, "Have you stopped doing pods?" It's like, no, just because we've only done 2 in October means that we should have more to do in November. Like I said, everything will get done, but it just keeps going. It's like we said, even with wrestling, Bound for Glory is tonight. So, as an Impact fan, it's like, I've got that to watch as well, So, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on. And, again, in my opinion, I don't want to come off any type of way, but they should be grateful. Because the fact that we were doing so many, keeping up with the insane schedule of 3, if you count NXT as its own promotion, we're keeping up with 3 promotions. Yeah. So hey, I think actually 4 when you include New Japan. So, I'm very thankful that we were able to keep up with as much. Because just like you mentioned, imagine if we were trying to cover Impact. Imagine if we did a special Ring of Honor pod or something. It's more than enough wrestling. So I'm appreciative that we're caught up as much as we can be, and I'm ready to talk about this because it's been a lot. It's been a lot of changes, I believe. Like I don't even know if they hadn't been to the CW since our last NXT pod, right?
Well, no, exactly. And
you could have stuff to catch up on.
You can tell we've been doing a show quite a while because you segue into that perfectly. And we left the last update just before the start of the debut on the CW, so we've got all of October to catch up on. So let's do it then. We've got 4 episodes. We start October 1st, and we're in Chicago for the first NXT on the CW. We've got a new theme as well, Millions From Now by 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne. That's on my playlist, boys and girls. But fair play to the fans in Chicago. They will sell out any old shit, be it Rampage, Collision, or NXT, on the CW. But it did look good, Monty. And again, as we spoke about, it did feel like a new era to NXT, even a new logo and everything like this.
Yeah. They really love their wrestling in Chicago. So I guess I can't make fun of them too much. They really love it. Man, like you said, the environment, everything felt great, fresh. And NXT has done a good job, like we mentioned. I know, 2.0 probably may not be an era that people we actually want to dwell on, but it was a complete rebrand. It was like the complete opposite. Maybe not in the best, maybe that's not the direction any of us wanted to go in, but it really was, black and gold to that era, and then back to a lighter but a mixture where we're like white and gold into the era we are in now, which is I guess just black and silver.
I guess black and silver,
whatever. I guess that's where we're going now. But again, it's just it's something to give it a very fresh look, and I think it's also like something for us to distinguish. You can distinguish what era of NXT you watching just by how certain things look. If you're honest, if you think about it, so I really like that. And like you mentioned, it was really cool to see them in a place like that. The crowd was really good, and it's also like I mentioned before to have a regular TV NXT in an arena, even if I do think didn't they downsize this one or was that the next week? Either way it go, I know it wasn't. I know it
Yeah, it's
wasn't
the following
probably as
week.
packed as people as maybe you would think, but to see NXT in that environment in a place like Chicago, like we said, place that loves their wrestling, it was really cool.
Well, again, not to get into the WWE versus AEW argument, but NXT much better at tarping. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
for
exactly.
making
Yeah,
arena.
exactly.
Realised fell
Right,
up.
it feels like a big deal.
Yeah,
It
without
feels like
doubt.
a big deal. Yeah.
Shawn Michaels did his best Triple H impression. The sexy boy had turns into old man Logan. I never thought I'd get to that point with Shawn, but I have. Tripp showed up and got a pop. And like we talk about with the rebrand, the NXT Championships redesigns were needed, especially with the black and silver brand colour
Yeah.
swap as well. And then we start with the NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez versus Julia. And Perez found herself outmatched by Julia throughout this fight. However, with the referee distracted, Cora Jade laid out the beautiful Madness with a double underhook DDT on the floor. The prodigy hit her for pop rocks to win. I mean, this was a huge match to start. And again, I thought it was going to go a certain way. But as Jade explained, that she made a statement to remind everyone who she is. And President Jade sold they might be on the same page. So again, it starts another story, really.
I think this one is very funny because they use someone like Julia who was gonna bring in a lot of new eyes, a lot of eyes from like maybe I'm not gonna just say more hardcore, but people who really are fan or knew about Julia. They may not all watch WWE or probably don't want to. Some of them don't like the WWE style. So to blend those people in with people like us who have been avid NXT watchers, I think it was kind of funny for me to see the initial reaction to the match. But before I get to like to that and the finish, I just want to give both ladies credit for just basically doing a good job in like about a little bit over 10 minutes of basically fulfilling our expectations and more. Like that, this match feels like a really good appetizer for what they could do in a big setting one on one. Because I just felt like the grappling, the intensity, the crowd, everybody was into this match. And credit to Shawn Michaels, man, because this, even though the first match, this is one of those situations where starting off the new era of NXT, this still felt like one of the most important things uh, not even just in NXT, just in WWE. It just felt like a big deal, and I just really think that even if you weren't happy that Julia didn't walk away as champion, I think as someone who was a fan of Julia before, and just feel like she can be a huge crossover star, like a worldwide star. I was happy because it felt like Sean or it felt like whoever put this together, WWE realized that Julia is a star. Even if she's not the champion, even if she isn't going to come in and run over the champion or be like an Oscar and be undefeated, she feels like someone that they realize uh, can be on the level, if not better, than Roxanne, or at least in that tier. Which, in my opinion, I think in this title reign, Roxanne has only gotten better, and she's shown like she's been the class of the division. How long have we talked about it now, Jay? She's been the class of the division ever since she basically got there. When Mandy Rose was champion, Roxanne basically was shining. So to be on that level and feel like you're just as important, and basically, like you said, have this match won. If we're just going off the in-ring wrestling that we watch, it really spoke well to me for how WWE views her. But also, I think for us longtime NXT watchers, Cora Jay's interference, as much as I would have liked it to be a straight up match. I wasn't mad at it because I think we know just from the long term storytelling that it made a lot of sense because of the relationship between Roxanne and Cora Jade, and because of, I don't know if you remember this, but before Cora blew her knee out, it was rumored that this entire heel run that Roxanne had going on was supposed to be next to Cora Jade, who was also kind of in that heel. And if you remember their problem, like they kind of acknowledged backstage, the issue that they kind of had was an attitude thing. Roxanne was still trying to be a nice girl, and meanwhile, Cora Jade had already kind of used Roxanne to flip the switch on her persona. So I think for us as people who watched and know the story, we probably got a little bit more enjoyment out of that than some of the people I saw online kind of trashing it and not being happy that Julia was kind of put in the situation. But at the same time, there was two women on one. Like, she looked strong, so I didn't really know what the complaints were, other than some people maybe just not like how WWE does do things. But I thought it was good, really, really good, and it was a great moment for the first match of a new era, in my opinion. But I do think they only scratched the surface of what they can do, like them two, Julia and Roxanne, 1-on-1.
Yeah, right. And again, not sure about losing a debut, but it opens another story. And as we've spoken about before, it's the women's division. It's not just about one star. And if Julia comes in just dominant, beating everybody, then who's on that level? At least now you can kind of build people up. You still got the end game. Don't get me wrong, Judy will get hers. But before that, at least, like you said, you can build people up. Nathan Fraser and Axiom tried to practice for the match of A-Town Down Under in 2K24, but Fraser lost when he got distracted. CM Punk offered Lexis King some Freddie advice about choosing the right path. I mean, it's hard to take.
He really likes Pillman, don't it?
Yeah, but again, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, advice from Punk. All right, yeah, maybe leave that there. Street fight, Wesley versus Zachary Wentz. Lee and Wentz brought it all for this street fight. It's a crash-filled spot fest with some dangerous landers that sold how much both men disliked each other. Wentz had Lee reeling until he hesitated at the wrong time. This allowed Lee to take a cheap shot, hit a diving chain wrap knee through his rival, and a steel chair to win. And I don't know about you, and again, it's weird I'm going to say this here. I was surprised how long this match lasted, even though I did enjoy it.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really dramatic. I think it was a really good fight. And I think Wesley really showed that mean streak that I think, or at least signs of that mean streak that he's gonna need if he's gonna continue on in this character, in this role. And I just thought him and Zach once again showed off pretty good chemistry, and the added element of the street fight things and just some of the stuff that Zach put his body through in this match too. Just some of those spots were insane. So I do think it was funny, to kind of see it go to get that type of spotlight. But if you think about the angle and just like I said, the amount of work, the good work that Wesley kind of put into it, I think this was good. Now my thing is, now that this is over, what's next? Because I figured he would have enough to kind of get rid of the Rascals or to kind of feud there. Now after that, it's like, okay, is he pick a title, or is he going to, like, who's the next target? What is he going to do with the momentum that he can pick up from this new character switch and the finishing the story of destroying his former buddies? So that's where I kind of immediately thought of. Now when I look back at these the old notes I took, I was just like, fun match, but what's next? Because I'm really interested in what else Wesley could even really do. Like, we already know he's the best North American champion, or one of, if not he is one of the best North American champions in NXT history. So, what's next?
Yeah, it worked out. And again, it's weird how updates can change people, because last update, Zachary Wentz was like a real winner, X-Division champion, beating Wesley. Now he's just a fucking loser.
Two straight, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Miz TV, the Miz brought out Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo together and started the questions, but quickly turned to a back and forth between champion and challenger to avoid it coming to blows as the A-lister hyped their match for next week. The Chicago crowd threw out the what chants at Tony D, but he found his way in the rhythm of the chant and turned the crowd to cheering him. He reinforced that by reminding fans he's from Chicago. Yeah, it does help. Femi looked around. Was he phased? Who knows? But again, Tony D, and we're going to talk more and more of this, just really impressed me there, because again, as we spoke about, Chicago crowd can be difficult, and he made it work.
it's not even just that. You gotta think about it. Where have the bulk of the work on this Tony character? This is a lot. What he showed there is kind of alleviating any kind, little bit of those worries that we kind of had when we talked about in the last show about where's Tony's ceiling if he was to get called up, because he's still more of a caricature instead of like actual like a person beyond the gimmick and what so much and whatsoever. So the thing is like I think seeing him talk live, but if you think about most of the time so far down in Florida when we're watching NXT, he's on vignettes, he's backstage. You know what I mean? And that's kind of more of a protected type of area for your promos for you to get character things around. So to see him do that in front of a live audience, whether it was in his home city or whatever, I think really kind of showed, okay, he has some good enough mic skills to think, on his feet and think, just make something out of nothing or make the best of a situation. He can improvise in these situations. So I think that bodes well for someone like Tony, because again, like I mentioned, some people are going to see that character. Me and you can laugh at it, but me and you're going to come back and watch NXT every week. But they'll Raw, no, they'll just skip your segment or skip your match if they think you're just a goofball, or they get, oh, he's an Italian stereotype, whatever. We don't care what he does. So
forget about it.
Exactly. They're gonna exactly. I did the hands and now I feel ashamed. I did
I did as well, yeah.
yeah. But exactly. So I think this really bodes well for him in his future. Some of the things he's showing in this angle with Overfemi. But yeah, this was good. I think my only beef is, and I understand why, trying to get a rating, you're trying to give people more incentive to watch these, especially the debut show. But the Miz was not needed here. But we can move on.
No, exactly. And even been in the background as he was just like, he's just a floating head. Like in future,
he's just there.
we are just like Futurama. We're just gonna have Miz's floating head doing Miz TV on NXT. No, that's the time. Anyway, Jada Parker and Lola Vice versus Fatal Influences Fallon Henley and JC Jane. The Women's North American Champion joined commentary. Promised she would fight any and all the Fatal Influence. And Parker and Vice looked great early working together, but a miscue led to Parker walking out on Vice. Fallon Henley and Jace Jane hit a Shining Wizard running knee strike combination for probably their first win ever. Afterwards, Henley called out Jordan, who revealed she had backup in Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. The three cleared out Fatal Influence together. Vic Joseph announced the 6-woman tag match for next week. And just when it looked like Fatal Influence will have a little bit.
There goes the winning streak. Yeah, there goes the winning streak, man. The only thing I wrote down about this was that it was very funny of how little it really took Jada to finally. Like, I mean, I know she kind of warned you before she left, but it wasn't like Lola like hit her super hard or anything. Like, I don't know. It didn't take much for Jada to walk away from Lola. That was the thing that kind of made me chuckle.
Exactly. We've all days at work where we're just waiting for that one person to say something. That's it. I've had enough. I'm going. I'm going home. So I said morning.
All I needed to do was bump into me, and I'm gonna hit him.
They offered me a cup of tea, and I went, right, fuck you. That's me done. Javon Evans and Randy Orton both spoke on what the match next week in St. Louis meant to them. Wait till we get it. Before the main event, a muscular woman in a red jacket was shown walking down the road towards NXT. Monty, I don't know what it was, or who it was, or who she was. Let's get my pronouns correctly. But I was scared and, shall we say, excited all at the same time.
I was very intrigued. Yeah. Very intrigued, man. Very intrigued. It's something about big, strong Aussie women, and we'll just leave it at that.
I wonder if we'll see her for the rest of the update. I don't know,
I don't know.
The main event for the first CW show was the NXT Championship. Ethan Page, the champion, versus Trick Williams, the special guest referee CM Punk, and the crowd chanted Punk on the opening bell. But this wasn't about him. This is more about the talent in the ring. Luckily, All Ego sent Trick through the barricade right before the final commercial break. He then sent Trick through the announce table with an Ego's edge, but it was not enough to take the free. Punk forced both men to get to their feet to keep fighting. All Ego hit a go to sleep in front of Punk, but still only got a 2. Trick Williams survived and planted All Ego with a trick shot for the win, and your new NXT champion, Trick Williams, as
Yeah.
confetti fell, Page got in Punk's face and took a go to sleep for his troubles as well. This was near on a perfect ending for the first episode.
Yeah, man, it was really, really good. You know, I think the only thing that kind of made it funny was that you could tell they were getting short on time, so Punk had to kind of rush that go to sleep right before my television went off the air. So it kind of was funny to see. I was like, oh, yep, Ethan earned to go to sleep, but it's very funny, man. I don't know why Ethan thought. Again, I guess there goes that ego of his, feeling like he needed to taunt the referee the entire time for basically in this match. So I did think that element of the match, I didn't really care for it because sometimes it was like, Ethan, you're a champion, you're fighting Trick Williams. But I guess it works. It kind of works with his character because, again, all ego, even, just him being,
and he didn't watch SummerSlam, so he didn't.
Exactly. Apparently, he just have no regard of how that works, I guess. But, like I mentioned, the special guest referee stipulation, we can, and, even when someone, I think the last two, the reason why I had a problem with it is because, well, hell, it was one on SmackDown. What the hell is up with the special referee coming back?
Yeah, I know. It's and the ambulance match now. It's like someone is playing 2K. They literally are, and then bringing out stipulation matches.
Right. That's a great point. Anyway, yeah, but again, I'm not a big fan of someone who not even remotely, even with Seth, we was trying to figure out why he was there, but at least you can weave him in your mind in this beef, in this story. They tried their best to weave him in it. Punk is only there because we need, again, popular rating, and we're in Chicago, and it's just like, I don't know why we need this at all, to be honest. But it was, he did have some funny moments in there, and I did think the match did really well because Ethan Page and Trick are I don't think they're there yet, but they're developing a pretty decent chemistry, and this match kind of showed that off. And I think Trick winning the belt back and being the face of NXT in this new era, it was probably what we all expected. But I thought, like you mentioned, it was a perfect way to cap off the very first show and to have a crowning moment in Chicago, the crowd chanting at the end, and then you got, again, to go to sleep to take it off the air. It ended up being a real satisfying conclusion to a debut episode. And I think from what I read about, the CW was really happy, not only with the ratings, but just with the episode overall. And I think that's how we all were after watching it. I thought it was a really good time and overall a good show, even if, you could probably nitpick if you want to certain things. But that's every NXT. I thought this was really strong, though, for a network debut.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, a couple of things that you mentioned. If Trick would have lost with Julia, I think we never heard the end of it. From
yeah, one of them, right. You can't have both of them fall short. Yeah, that's a good point.
And the other thing, which is interesting, and again, I don't know how often it will happen, but the CW, going there from the USA means no overrun. So basically, in the UK, NXT used to be about an hour and 28, maybe even like an hour and 32, depends on it. Especially if you had the first hour commercial free, then you add time to it there. Now it's 1 hour 20, bang! It's so great.
If they're not playing.
But even with Raw changing from 2 hours now, your consumption has gone down. I mean, even though it's only 8 minutes or something like that, again, you just know it's wow, that's just, I can get that done in one sitting, basically. So, and again, it's interesting to see, the kind of difference. Anyway, move on to October 8th, and I tell you what, TNA should definitely run this building. As you mentioned earlier, they had to switch venues for obvious reasons, But again, maybe Randy Orton isn't a big draw. Hate me for that.
Wow. It was also to give them a break. It was from what people said some great excuse, and I forgot why. So what was going on in St. Louis
That's
on
what
Tuesday?
They normally say.
But yeah, it was something going on, they claimed. But whatever. Well, like you mentioned, no, we're just gonna bear Randy Orton. Damn, man, you need to. What's up? I thought you were a bigger name than that, Randy.
Yeah, Randy. Trick Williams opened the show after a recap from last week. Wesley interrupted from the crowd, calling his shot to become a triple count. NXT champion. Now, Monty.
Oh, it's Sexy Red fault. That's who fault it is. It's Sexy Red fault.
Yes, we blame Sexy Red. But I don't think you or I have ever gone into detail. But Trick calling Wes light skin makes me think it's all about race in America. I don't know about you, but is that true?
Hold on, light skin. That was hilarious. Oh, that was hilarious. That was also the first sign, or if you don't know, if you haven't noticed by listening to Trick Williams, no one writes his promos. That's a surefire sign to let you know. I wouldn't say in America, but especially in our community. But yeah, since I can speak for the American or the African Americans, yes, it is a thing. Don't even get me started on it. Let's just say it this way: lighter skinned people in our even the black ones usually get treated a little bit better. But I don't think that had anything to do with this. He was just saying it's like, it's like a slang type of thing.
Right.
So yeah, hold on, light skin, and that's basically what it is. But it's not. I don't. You don't need to look deeper into it than what it is. But I could teach a class on where it comes from.
Oh, right. Because talk about that over here. It's all about class, and I'm working class.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of bottom of that pole anyway. So again, it's and
the funny thing about America is like so screwed up that it's that way too. But we're so caught up in race that you just kind of ignore the fact that most of us are at the bottom rung.
Yeah.
And the top is only getting, more to the top. You want to do a classism podcast? We can do it.
Well, I mean, even W are thinking, well, that could be quite a touchy subject. How are we going to sort it out? Let's bring out Jey Uso, who arrived at participation and a yeet charm. And Lee just disappeared, but hey, Jay got a good reception.
He was shrugging his shoulders. He was just up there. Like I kept looking in that area of the arena through the crowd, and he was just ignored pretty much after that.
So anyway, we move on to Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Kalani Jordan versus Fatal Influence.
What's Kalani, James? I'm gonna stay on this topic. What is Kalani? There you go.
I'm going to be cancelled if I'm not careful. I'm like, Monty said it was all right. I went on Twitter, I went on X afterwards and calling people out. Anyway, yeah, Jordan was there. She was able to get the tag in Bianca and Cargill, and obviously it was done. I mean, good start for the Hill Group, trying to be like Pew Fusion Collection, I guess. They're going, how can we be successful? Let's lose. I did love the matching outfits for the faces. I mean, the Hills could have had more different attires. You know what I mean? Somebody speak to Jasmine Nix. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying about Jasmine Nix. But yeah, man, this is good. I think the funniest thing about this is that it's like we talked about this on the last WWE podcast about representation and Triple H's comment. And this is like, I don't know if Sean was like, well, you don't have to worry about that here in NXT. Because we're going to give you every black champion and Jey Uso that we can possibly give you. Everybody we have right now. And look at them, they're champions and they look great. But yeah, no, this is really fun. Just to even have Bianca and Jay. I mean, you can't argue or be mad with that. Seeing them, I'm always happy to see them on my television screen and see them working with Kaylani was cool too. And like you mentioned, I don't even know what to tell you about Toxic Attraction 2.0 and their future. I guess we'll just have to see how that goes and who's going to be the one. I mean, Nix is obviously going to be learning under those two, but like the funny thing about learning under those two is where's the ceiling? That's the only thing I say about that. But hey, good luck to him. But this is good. This is a fun time, I must say. Even though we knew that Toxic Attraction had no chance.
Yeah, but if it's like no quarter catch crew, then Fatal Influence could have a different member every fucking couple of weeks. Like I said, if Nyx hasn't got the same outfit, she might be like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like Friendly Reese or takes her place the following week, you know? Anyway,
Right.
up next, Roxanne Perez mocked the crowd for underestimating her. And she then brought out Cora Jade, who explained that a friendship with the prodigy was mending thanks to the Perez's new attitude. And I tell you what, giggity giggity, Cora, I love the stripper look. You're pulling it off well, all right? I love it. Julia arrived and was followed quickly by Stephanie Vaquer and her first physical appearance in NXT. They
Also giggity.
Perez and Jade. Both Julia and Vaquer grabbed the NXT Women's Championship, clearly establishing that one of them would be the next title holder. This was just good shit all round. And again, the complaints of, like we talk about, you know, women's division. We're watching NXT. We're loving it.
Exactly. Like the people who, like I said, me and you and people who, that's why I felt like it kind of appeased both sides. Like you got a chance to see someone like a Julia wrestle. And if you're new and you're trying to give it a chance because you love Julia, you get introduced to Roxanne, you get introduced to Cora, and some of these other girls and all of that. But you also, you know, with the Stephanie Association, you got a fan base of people that's coming to watch her because she has a great fan base, and especially down from traveling all around the world and her being Chilean, and then you have the Mexico and just how long she was champion down there. So she just you got eyeballs possibly coming in from many different places who may expect a different thing just based on what they look at and what they think of Julia and Stephanie. And what they may have already kind of preconceived about NXT's women's division. But we, as people who watch this women's division every week and know just how much of a focus they are when it comes to storytelling, we know sometimes you kind of have to be patient in a sense. And I think this is a perfect example of that also because, you know, again, after the Julia loss, you wonder, oh man, they're already burying her. Some people may have already thought that. And then literally the next week they show you, no, we have intentions. We have a something that we're trying to pull off here. And then I love that both ladies were holding the belt the way they are because even though they're together and they're friends and they're teaming now, we both know that eventually either not only will Julia versus Stephanie Valkyrie rivalry possibly be started up again that was going on before NXT, but you also can, like you said, kind of fantasy match make either woman or a triple threat, however you want to see it coming into a head at some point when it comes to, but we're keeping the focus on that championship, and that places an importance on Roxanne's championship, and I thought that was expertly done too. So it was really cool to see Stephanie, man. Like you said, after hearing her name and seeing the video package, and kind of knew she was popping up at some point, but to see her in the flesh there in St. Louis. It was really, really cool. I think she's awesome. I told you about, I don't know how, we didn't get a chance to touch on her much when we were doing the AEW review, but like I think we'll talk about it in her match that after the following week. Like Stephanie is damn good. And so it's really cool to kind of see her and Julia stand tall against Cora and Roxanne here. And I'm excited for what they could possibly do going forward. And my only thing is about this situation is can Cora Jade keep up? We can talk about that when we start predicting Halloween Havoc, but she's probably the only question mark. Because again, I think we mentioned it before her injury, I wasn't really the biggest fan of her work. But, you know, how is she going to be after a disastrous knee injury?
It's kind of worse.
Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's really, really interesting to see how this is going to work out. But, you know, we'll get to that. But this was fun, man. This was really good. And, yeah, it did a good job of setting things up.
Yeah, well, backstage, Ren Sinclair claimed the first shot of Vaquer next week.
What an idiot.
Dempsey also told... I know, fucking hell. Charlie Dempsey also told Lexis King to challenge Laura Mensa to an Admiral Lord Mount, a rounds match, and I went to school with that gentleman. Lord Mount was a lovely fellow. Right, so here we go. North American Championship, Obafemi versus Tony D'Angelo. Tony D threw everything he could at Oba. Stacks tossed in a crowbar, but the Don refused to use it. The ruler knocked down Rizzo outside on a ramp, which caused the Don to be unleashed. He suplexed Femi outside with ease. He planted Femi outside the ring with a spine buster through the announce table, followed by a second in the ring for a close, near fall. The ruler kept kicking out of everything. However, when Femi popped back up, They've done reverse into a sunset flip for the pin and the victory. Monty happened. The longest reigning North American champion by about 4 days is over. It's over. It's done. It's done. But I mean, fair play, Tony D, and I never thought I'd say it.
Yeah, man, the Rocky story or whatever. They did what they needed to do. I'm so happy that this particular match right here wasn't on a prediction, even though I think I'm still ended up having to have to predict something between these two. But yeah, man, this was good. This is really good, and I would, like you mentioned, James. I think you kind of stepped back and just couldn't help but appreciate it because I told you I did not want Obafemi to fall to anyone, but this was executed in the right way, in all honesty. I just believe that this was uh, Tony D's moment to shine, and I think he did a really good job of capitalizing. Or they really put together a proper match for him to really shine. And I really thought, coming into this entire feud, that this would be something that Obafemi could just kind of move on from after he would beat him and keep on his train, and Tony D can keep it moving. But I think you had the right idea when you were mentioning that since since he gave up the Heritage Cup, they were probably looking to get Tony D more achievements. And I still wonder about the ceiling, but I can't say much now because I never thought he would be single championship worthy under this goal, under this character. I didn't really see that for his ceiling either. So I wonder now, does this mean Stacks was holding them back as tag champions?
Stacks holds everybody fucking back. But what I will say for Tony D and Oba, which surprised me as well, was, and we've talked about this with other wrestlers in the past, but sometimes it just clicks. And whatever Tony D and Oba have got, it just clicks. And again, it's weird to think, but these two could carry this on for years. And it is
very
weird.
Funny, man, right?
I never thought I'd want to see it, but again, it just worked. Yeah. And what a pop as well. It's good when a championship is over and the crowd were behind Tony D. So it just shows Shawn Michaels is a genius. We bow our heads.
Like they act like like the job was done well. Yeah. Even the people, unless you, even the over feminists, I think he called his group, his fans. I think the biggest over feminists would take away from that. No, that was pretty cool.
I am an over feminist. Levi's trying to talk to NXT General Manager Ava in her office, but Nikita Lyons interrupted. So now she is ready to return to the ring. I mean, every time I see Lyons, I'm just like, damn. I'm just like, I don't know. I'll get over it at some point, but yeah. Anyway, Lash Legend.
I just wish she had more than that, because that's the problem. That's the thing. You say damn, and then the bell rings.
Hey,
it's like
I've lived through the Attitude Era, so again, she's more than acceptable. Lash Legend and Jacob Jackson called their shot for the NXT Women's Tag Titles. Blair and Cargill told them to show up on SmackDown. Didn't end that well. Randy Orton accidentally encouraged the anger of Fraser after Axiom implied that Javon Evans is faster than Fraser. And then the Fraxium versus A-Town Down Under for the tag team titles. And I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I thought this is a pretty dominant victory from Fraxium. And I'm going, I don't know if Waller and Theory have fallen or Fraxium really are the best team in WWE, and now they're just there to prove it.
Yeah, man, I think to this point, they definitely have been the most consistent team, and by far in that regard, the most consistent, the most just entertaining in terms of their matches. But you're 100% right. I expected more competitive. But honestly, I think at this point, we're just waiting on somebody to pull the trigger on Grayson turning on Austin. I don't know if they're not ready or they just don't think Austin can get over as a face. Maybe he needs a nudge, or maybe they're gonna pick their time. But I think that might have a little bit to do with it too. It's just why, but I don't know why. Like you mentioned, that Fraction kind of did this without, I ain't gonna say without breaking a sweat, but just never was really in doubt. you
action might
know,
be
and
sweating. We just didn't see it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, but this is good. Anytime I see the NXT tag champions, man, I'm excited, and I don't know, man. Fraction might get called up together.
Well,
As much as
to
they
be
argue, man, it's just like
and yeah, I mean to be fair,
they're
with the
good.
developments on SmackDown, and as we've seen, I mean
Yeah,
they're probably taller than a lot of tag teams now on the main roster.
yeah, hell yeah.
Weird to say. So who knows? After a pre-tape back and forth promo, Ridge Holland tried to deliver a further warning to Chase U, but Riley Osborne attacked him from behind. All Ego tried to cancel Sexual Red's concert, but John Evans cleared him out and posed with Red. They should have let the concert continue because we got Orton versus Javon Evans afterwards. I mean, again, what should we say? The veteran experience, slowing and grounding Evans, whilst the youngster pushed the Viper. I mean, the finish was a little bit flawed. I mean, I've never seen an arc out of nowhere, I think, missed. So,
Yeah.
again, I might have to rack my brains, but still, an RKO, Orton raised Evans' hand to show him respect, and we've still got to remember the young OG, with the age that he is, and of course, Randy Orton, not even a draw. So, I mean, what were your thoughts?
I just love the growth, man. I think that's what I kind of took away from this from Randy. You know, a lot of people kept showcasing the moment with Kofi from Young and Randy's career. I saw a lot of people talking about that, and then just for him to kind of calm Javon down and let him know, you know, it's okay. Shit happens because from what I've investigated after this, Javon and him rehearsed that move a lot, and it actually was perfect in practice every time. And then you get out there, and then he over rotates because if you look at it, he kind of spent like an extra 2 times almost than the usual spin that he puts on that move he does. And he probably was only supposed to spin like once so he can land in the perfect position for the RKO. So stuff like that happens, man. It's really unfortunate because I know what they were going for. It reminds me of like the Carmelo and Cody Rhodes spot from
Yeah.
Melo's first match on SmackDown. They were trying something super duper cool, and it may have worked in practice, but just when it was time to put it on television, it didn't work. So it sucks, but at the same time, I think it's very very cool, man. I know a lot of those guys, especially someone Javon Evans' age, definitely looks up to a Randy Orton because they grew up and that was the guy on television. And it's just really cool to see Randy in this. I know you mentioned Punk, and you're right, about far as taking advice from Punk, but it is very cool to see people like Punk and Randy Orton in this role of giving advice and doing certain things. And this is not me taking a shot at like the Adam Copelands or the Christians, but like it's guys in similar of that era who are not necessarily, and maybe they're not putting it on television, and that's fine too. But I'm saying they're still chasing something for their career. Like we grew up, and a lot of guys, like a lot of people that we grew up watching, were a lot older than we realized, but they were still doing things in their career. But it's really, I don't know how many people we actually growing up got a chance to see in this role. Like even Triple H to an extent was still doing the big matches and doing these storylines even after he was in a actual position in WWE, he was still doing certain things, but he wasn't having. I'm trying to think of someone. He wasn't out here having. Well, he did have that match with Seth Rollins. Don't remind me about that. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. No,
He wasn't out
I
here bigging up the
but
young talent or in NXT
maybe it's
having
the
one-on-one
guys.
matches and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe it's the guys that were the biggest arseholes when they were younger who now turn
Right.
into like the kind of best. Because if you look at like Shawn
And it's just
Michaels,
really cool to
CM
see.
Punk, Randy Orton, it's like, yeah, they seem
Like, man, what
quite
do they have in
cool
common?
guys.
Like, they were dicks in their youth, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they got that in common. So it's really cool to see that. I think it's just cooler, like you mentioned, like maybe some of the good guys they do it, and we don't really pay as much attention to it because all right, you've been a good guy your whole career. We expect it. We expect you to do this, pretty much. But to see those guys or people who have been labeled locker room cancers and stuff like that to be in this era where they are the ones shaping the new locker room. That's insane. Like I know you could, if anyone told Sean in '96 what he would be doing in 2024. What do you think his reaction would be? You know,
there's a clip on. There's a YouTube now, the WWE Vault, which is basically like what the networks should have been, and
right?
there's the like the meeting before WrestleMania 14. You know, they were in New York, and Sean's doing an interview at Times Square, gets hit by a battery, and just fucks off.
He just left. Yeah, he just says fuck it.
That's the guy who's going to look after our future. That guy,
right? That guy is insane. It's insane. Or even like Triple H had the name, had the reputation of only caring about himself, and the Reign of Terror is the guy booking the show. And like it's very crazy when you think about it. So it's really cool to me to see Randy in this spot, even if the match, you know, I think maybe a few years down the line when Javon is seasoned, you know, this match will probably be even better. But it was really cool to see that clash of eras in a sense, like you mean, someone so young versus somebody we watched grow up in this business.
Well, and this is the thing, and the Javon Evans watched Randy Orton grow up, so to be in the ring with him, you know, even if he's very personal, whether it is, it's still quite a big deal on the second episode of NXT on the CW as well, you know. Anyway, on to the third episode, October 15th. Booker and Vic welcome us to a new look Full Sail. Well, it's different colours. After a highlight reel last week, we go to the ring. The arena was dark beyond a single spotlight on Tony D at a red table with a wine glass. He toasted Obafemi, which led to the ruler coming out to address the new North American champion. He rolled a Halloween Havoc wheel for the rematch and landed on tables, ladders, and scares. Luca Cristofino wanted a match against Femi next week. What a fucking idiot. Yeah, again, we mentioned it earlier, but I was saving this a fucking idiot for Luca Cristofino. Because, yeah, Obafemi's pissed off. I want a match. But, again, the presentation of Tony D has been really working at the moment.
Yeah, man, he felt like, again, he finally feels like what they've been telling us he is for like, I think that's the thing. It's kind of funny how you can give someone a name. I know he beat Ciampa, and ever since then, he was the Don or whatever, but think about all the time he just kind of just was doing mostly nothing or just a vignette, and it's like, okay, Tony, whatever, keep doing what you're doing. All right, you got Chase you in debt. You're doing this and that. You remember that story? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, you know, again, for a while, they've been telling us he's this boss, he's this. But then until you see him under the spotlight, red wine, championship, just looking like a boss, not even just like a mob boss, just really looking like that. It was kind of cool to see him in that spot, you know, because, again, I felt like he's finally putting the pieces to the puzzle till now I can actually kind of see him being way more than just that character that we have come to know.
Up next, Stephanie Vaquer versus Ren Sinclair. And Ren tried to keep the focus on her, but she was overwhelmed by the power and technical offense of Vaquer. La Primera sealed the win with a package backbreaker. After the win, Perez and Jade attacked her until Julia arrived to make the save. The new stars of NXT sent them packing. And then they laid out a tag team challenge to the Hills for Halloween Havoc. But again, all this talk about Julia and everybody else, but Stephanie just came in and was like, this is what I can do. And what she can do is very, very impressive.
Yeah, man, she's so good, man. Just so like you said, so technically sound. It's such a snap to everything that she does. I love that even though it was just like a 5-minute squash or whatever, that she still was able to showcase a good amount of what she can do. And I'm just happy so far when it comes to the presentation of her and Julia in the ring that for the most part, they're doing the same offense. It's just they're not, you know, it's not like an unprotected headbutt thrown in there for good measure. Or it's not like a, you know, it's just like I'm not going to say watered down like everybody loves to think. But like, for example, that is Stephanie Vaquer's finisher when she was in, NXT. I mean, when she was in AAA. AEW, like when she was doing her thing around the world, that was her finish. Same thing with Julia and the Northern Lights bomb that they let her do. So it's just kind of cool that all that programming, because a lot of us, and I get it, WWE did it to so many of your favorites that came from around the world. They were neutered, their names were changed, this and that, the move set and this and that was watered down. So it's really cool to see that the hard hitting style of Stephanie with the technical expertise and the submission and the hard hitting style of Julia, both of their styles seem to still be intact. And Ren didn't do bad either, even though again I feel like she, never challenge a new day someone who just debuted, bro. Like why? Why would you do that? Why would you sacrifice that yourself to them? If they book you in it, fine, that's cool. But don't volunteer for it. But again, really good, man, really good. And like you mentioned, the tag match and just having these four in it also feels like a really big deal. It feels like these four are towering over the women's division right now, and I like it.
Without doubt. But Kalani Jordan may be getting a little bit lost in the shuffle, but she told Trick Williams backstage she would face whoever NXT General Manager Ava picked for her next challenger. Wasn't too bad because she knew it would be Fatal Influence. So again, she's like, well, it doesn't fucking matter. I could beat him 3-on-1.
I think I don't want to say it because it might be too soon. I'm gonna give them the time, but if it continues that way, they might have bit off more than they could chew with this second title in the women's division, and that's where I leave it in that regard.
Well, Ava confirmed the tag team match for Halloween Havoc, Fatal Influence London Women's North American title match, and they've agreed if they fight Julia and Stephanie next week. And again, your point about the North American title, it would just disappear like the tag titles, and no one will mention it. They would just
exactly.
It would just disappear. Gentleman's Duel, Lexis King versus Aura Mensa. Before this match, the full rules were established. I mean, again, I could go into tremendous detail about this, but I'll just give you, some of the easier ones about not attacking a downed opponent. Final sequence of pin attempts ended with an impressive double leg trap, bridging pin that took the victory. Afterwards, King shook the hand of Mensa and showed him respect. He thanked No Quarter Catchfree for the help of the Gentleman's Duel rules and teased he may be ready to challenge for the Heritage Cup. I mean, I hope so, because you're just so fucking bland now. It is unbelievable. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, are we just waiting for a turn? What's going on?
That's what I'm waiting for, because like you just mentioned, I think that's the biggest problem. The only thing he had going for him so far, in my opinion, was the douchebaggery that he kind of became known for just being, basically a bad, just being the neighborhood bad guy in a sense. So to kind of bland him up and make him do it in this way, and I mean the match was fine. I don't want to bag on it too bad. I did see some people not too happy with it. But the match, from my estimation, was okay. And Oro got some pretty good moves off. I honestly came away from that only disappointed because Oro is the one I would want in this spot, or at least to win, just because he's way more interesting. The moveset is interesting. And I really hate the fact that without Noam Dar, they've kind of, without Noam Dar, and then you see Jakar and Lash are doing their own thing, chasing tag titles. At least they're involved in doing something. I'm happy. But I feel bad for Oro because after this, now that he seemingly loses here and this may be done, it's just, come on, man. It's just, I felt like they dropped ball with some really good momentum he had after the Ethan Page stuff. He just seemed like he was on a roll, and they gave him back. They gave him this, and instead of continuing that, you try to transfer it to Lexus, which I understand. He needs momentum too. But I don't think he needs to stop being a dude. And I think that's probably the only thing that saved him is when he finally goes ahead and just leans right back into being who we all think he is. But you're right. Right now, he's just smaller Ridge Holland.
But this thing is, again, with Mensa, is like you talk about, he had the momentum. And again, not having to go to Javon Evans or anybody else. But again, Oro Mensa in that position probably would have worked for me. If the crowd would have got behind him, I don't know. But he seems to have that ability, and he will, like I said, shine again, if that will be when Dar comes back and then turns on him. Nathan Fraser and Axiom trying to talk with Evans and Cedric Alexander, but Lee interrupted the taunt young OG. We see Lash Legend Jackson lay out a challenge to Damage Control for next week. Then we get Lola Vice versus Nikita Lyons. Vice was rolling, but Jada Parker blasted Vice with a hip knock it and set up Nikita Lyons for the Lions Raw to win. Ooh. And like we spoke about, it feels like a lifetime ago that Lyons was at the top of NXT. But it's impressive she was able to return after a pair of ACL tears in early 2023 and 2024. But it seems like not just character, but like you said, in ring, it's just gone up a massive level now, and it will be interesting to see where Lines fits in with that.
Exactly. That's the thing that worries me because I don't worry about her look. It's always going to get people to stop and maybe not change the channel. I don't worry about, like it's so much as, well, I mean, she is kind of bland on the character front. I think that may be what she needs to do next is kind of like get something other than the whole, thing with her name and all that. I know she's just coming back, so maybe that's what they'll try to do. Give her something with the character to kind of go along with it, the look. But yeah, that's the question, man. The question is, can she? Same thing with a big bulk of this roster. How much are they going to be able to kind of catch up to that kind of upper echelon of the division that we kind of have already highlighted? Because I don't know how many of these girls that I know, as much as I love Sean's booking, I don't know how many of those girls you actually can real deal put in the ring with a Julia and Stephanie and right now and think you're going to get something entertaining out of it other than, you know what I mean? And that's no discredit to Stephanie and Julia because I think they can probably get a good match. But it's like, are you confident that you could give them 10 minutes in the ring with them at this stage? And I think it's gonna be time for Lola, Jada's kind of showed that she's ready in the ring, in my opinion, so far. And I think it's gonna be time for the rest of this division also to kind of catch up in that way too. But hey man, I just gotta say, I'm going to say that I see the notable changes to some of the moves that she's doing when it comes to Nikita Lyons, and I think that's cool. But two dope Stone Cold Steve Austin knee braces this early into your run, I just, I wish her the best. That's all I can say about it because I know she's worked. Again, it takes a lot of work to get rehab and come back from that, but that don't necessarily bode well from a longevity point of view. So I hope I'm wrong though. I hope I'm wrong.
Mandy Rose is only a message away, if you know what I mean. So again, there is hope. Parker interrupted taking Pax's interview about Wendy Chu, which almost caused an incident between the two. And then we get Rich Holland versus Riley Osborne. Riley had a cool entrance. It was really cool. I was going, who is this? And I was like, oh, it's Riley Osborne. All right.
It's Riley.
That's fine. He had a battle with Ridge. He was simply overwhelmed. He took a Redeemer to end it. But Andre Chase hit the ring to save Osborne from the Redeemer on the announce table and knocked Holland clean out of the ring. Yeah, Andre Chase is back, Monty.
Ooh.
And this time he's serious. Not like
he's
the
angry.
Last 5 or 6 times. He's angry, goddammit.
Man, I just gotta say this, man. I'm still not interested in Ridge Holland, even though he's just. It's kind of the reason why I say this is because it just feels like whatever we had going on in Chase U, he made sure I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill Chase U dead. Like Chase U has been resilient in NXT. It has survived, and I'm not saying it's gone completely yet. But it just felt like it from the last few episodes I got a chance to watch that they're just not prominent at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see. And like you said, this is a big, it has a lot of heat here, I guess. So we'll see how it turns out. But, yeah, I don't know. Is this doing anything for you, James?
Well, the thing is, Ridge has gone, what group turned on me and hated me? They're like the Brawling Brutes. And he goes, yeah, Chase U. No, it's Sheamus and Pete. No. It's Riley Osborne, innit? And that fucking Duke Hudson. All right, Ridge. Yeah. Again, he just hasn't got it. So again, what I'm hoping is Andre Chase can actually put an end to it, if you know what I mean. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, and for Magic 8 Ball, again, you look down and it goes, chances don't look good. We see Adonis apologising to Reese for costing her a match against Wendy Chu and Rosemary last month. Spears and Jensen interrupted to destroy his Rose. This led to a match. Carmen Petrovich picked up the battered Rose. Of course, Adonis ignored her backstage. Seemed to finally notice her during the match, and Jensen beat Adonis. And then Petrovich pulled out the remnants for the Rose from Adonis on the ring. A distraction turned the momentum of the match. I read that with as much interest as I've got it with. Anyway, before the main event, we see another vignette of someone walking towards an NXT building. I don't know what it was, but it's fucking cool. And then
hey, who are you?
Yeah. Is it Jordan Grace? Anyway, number one contender, All Ego, Ethan Page versus Wesley versus Javon Evans. It was seriously competitive battle even. Javon Evans had Wesley out on the mat after a springboard corkscrew, but All Ego snuck in to stack up the young OG for the free. And again, we weren't over because Paige called out Trick Williams suspended Will. Determined the rematch would be Devil's Playground bout before All Ego blasted the NXT champion with his title. All Ego might have won, but again, he's playing his part, and the other two just went to that next level that he can go to.
Yeah, this is a damn good match, by the way. I just want to say that. Maybe that's what we're going next with as far as Wesley. Him and Javon could kind of do an angle of some sort, maybe. But like you mentioned, Ethan Page winning, and I just got to give Ethan the credit, man, because he's doing his part in the ring as a really good hand, in my opinion, and then the character work has been top notch. And I just think him winning here and us getting another him and Trick match, I think most likely because like this is how Trick Williams tends to do things when he has a really good rival to go back with. The next match usually gets a little bit better, so I can't wait to see what they do as a result of this match. This was a really good main event. I was really happy that this happened because if we go back to this card, other than looking at the wonderful Stephanie Valkyrie and her debut, you really could have skipped this entire episode.
Yeah, it is true. We move on to last episode, October 22nd. We get Damage Control versus Metaphor. And Legend and Jackson looked as good as they ever have together, which is saying something coming from me, neutralising the speed advantage of Io and Kari. However, as Metaphor looked posed to win big, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven attacked. The sneak attack forced a no contest as Green and Niven stood out both teams. I mean, this is cool if there was a tag team titles in NXT. So I guess this is a bigger story of the women's tag division because now there's not enough time on Raw and SmackDown. They're doing it on NXT. Right. And again, I haven't got a fucking issue. I love Green and Niven. Talk about Sky and Sane all day long. And, of course, bringing Legend and Jackson to things.
Yeah, if you look at the new updated Crown Jewel card, it seems like we're going to get possibly Lash Legend and Jakira on that card for in a match for the tag titles, in a multi-women match. So, they like you said, they're building a division. And they're using NXT to do it also, which I think is smart. And it's about time they finally get involved. Like you said, especially since, again, it's really weird to me that those belts disappeared. And then Sean decides, we're going to call up and put on TV 50 women. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah, I'm sorry. And we're going to give them another singles belt, but we're going to take away our NXT tag titles, which would have been perfect for Fatal Influence or whatever. It would have been perfect for somebody like them or whoever who would need something to kind of make them feel like more of a big deal in this regard. But who knows? Maybe we end up getting them back with so many women on NXT on a weekly basis, or not, or who knows? Maybe Lash and Jakira will bring them to NXT. You never know. But I like you said, I love seeing EO. Of course, seeing EO and Kyrie back. You can't be mad at that. And you're 100% right. Chelsea and Piper, put them any TV time we can get out of them. I'm loving every second of it. We love the tag champs. I love the division right now. At least I love that they're at least attempting to make a division. That's what we've been asking for since those belts have been created.
Yeah, without doubt. Jada Parker beat Tatum Paxley after the bell officials barely stopped Lola Vice from starting another fight. Meanwhile, Wendy Chu choked out Paxley and threw in the crate, wheeling her away. She continues to wheel Paxley away backstage, right past Javon Evans, who got into an argument with Nathan Fraser. And Wesley talked to the young OG. So, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Oh, okay. No one cared about the woman getting wheeled. The weird woman getting wheeled out of the building did not catch anyone's attention. Nice.
It probably likes it, you know. What upset me more was Cole Custer. And we're going to get into that. OTM took offence to Cole Custer's parking spot and got to an argument with Hank and Tank, setting up a match later. Before we get there, someone attacked Rizzo backstage. Tony D stayed for while Cruz Stefano headed to the ring. And Luca got crucified versus Obafemi. I think you like that. Tony D tried to stop Femi's continued attack, but the ruler zip-tied it onto the steel post. Brother. He forced Tony D to watch as he sent Cruz through a ladder and another fall from Grace. I mean, yeah, Tony, your family ain't shit, mate. That's what I took.
Yeah, I don't think you got to worry about seeing them helping out in the TLS match, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah, but
guess it,
yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah, but no, man, this was great, man. Overfemi looked like a damn monster, and I just love it because again, it's like, hey, you know what? And it did its job because before this, before that segment, my mind was completely like, all right, well, I think it's time for Overfemi to move on up and whatever, whatever. But would you be shocked if he killed Tony D in this match Sunday and just took his belt back and we just see like literally like a lifeless damn near body of Tony D on the ground Sunday after in Halloween Havoc? I would not be shocked because that's the type of monster he looked like in that segment. That was great.
Now, Nikita Lyons told Tyson DuPont and Tariq Igwe that need to act to find success. Femi then thanked Lyons, giving her jacket, implying that, well, either she attacked Rizzo or that he's hitting that player.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to watch.
It might be both.
Yeah, I would like to watch, please. I mean, just for nature purposes. Do you know what I mean? Like in the animal documentaries, like that is. I would have David Attenborough doing commentary over that. Honestly,
insane.
And now we see Obafemi. And here he goes, mounting Nikita. No, I've gone too far.
Yeah,
Right, here we go. Yeah. We could be the other way
up.
round. Who knows? It's the 21st century, guys. All right, let's get with it. Anyway.
Hopefully she attacked Rizzo. She needs something interesting to do. So turn heel, please. I'm begging
Well, she
you.
has something interesting to do in Obafemi. Yeah, player. Yeah. Anyway. Tony D laid out a passionate warning to Femi that he would not back down at Halloween Havoc. Did you not see him just kill your friends? Anyway, Trick Williams walked up to All Ego from Page with confidence, but faced the verbal wrath of a former champion. All Ego warned that Trick was not ready to taste his own blood in the Devil's Playground. I wouldn't mind if he didn't mention Ilya Dragunov, because I'm going, sorry, Ethan, I know you might be extreme, mate, but that guy's a fucking killer.
He fought Dragunov, bro. Yeah. I'll be honest, you can't really question his toughness. He beat Dragunov.
But Page is, again, showing he can carry a program as he did here. And, you know what I mean? Yeah, and we know, what he's trying to do, and fair play to him. And then we get a final video package of the former Delta aired, ending with a promise of her, or Zaraya, arriving at Halloween Havoc. We then get Saruka versus Carmen Petrovic. Soul has been an Impact recently, and I had the weirdest experience the other day when I put an Explosion, and it was like the 4 NXT women. I'm going, what the fuck am I watching? But again, they're involved, and it's good, and all that kind of stuff.
I miss Soul, so it's good. I'm glad she's been doing something.
Well, it's better than the fucking rose-loving Carmen, isn't it? Who again got distracted.
I don't get it, bro.
Just come on, man. Like, he's no Obafemi. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're gonna go.
I mean, I guess it had to start working on somebody. I guess that's the thing that's going on here. But yeah, no. She can. The thing is, she has more potential. I mean, she could be out here doing something, man. But hey, I guess you gotta. I guess that's the point.
Was just too cool. Like, go to Roses. Like, that's not. It's like Total Belts and Dolls with Tatum Paxley. It's like, no, just drop down a little bit, all right?
Don't attack Kalani. Do no one care about that little belt?
I know. OTM versus Hank and Tank with Cole fucking Custer. He used his helmet, did Custer, his NASCAR helmet, to blast Bronco in, which set up the collision caused by Hank and Tank. Vice slipped in the ring afterwards to dance with Hank, Tank, and Custer. And you couldn't get more redneck, even if Stone Cold was drunk and beating up Deborah. How about that, Monty? It's not my fault he did it. It's anything more redneck, though. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Damn.
Lola. Yeah. Sore thumb, though. Also stuck out like a sore thumb in that ring.
Well, he needed saying the amount of Caucasians in that match. Do you know what I mean?
Add some type of spice, some color or something.
Fucking hell. Send Brendan Reese in. No. Anyway. I've learned her name, so I'm going to keep saying Brindley Reese. Anyway, after issues...
you really be a Brindley Reese fan.
It's the name that's gone in my head. So that is the one. Everybody's called that in NXT.
Did Idris and Malik get fired?
No, what? We don't know. We don't know what's happened to them.
Please keep your job, guys. Please keep your job.
We are worried about disappearances.
They're missing.
Through that. After issues early in the night, Nathan Fraser talked Axiom and Avon to give John Evans and Alexander a title shot. Didn't even let Axiom know. He's like, yeah, Axiom's right of it. Like, no. Alexis King convinced Charlie Dempsey to give him a Heritage Cup match next week.
Yay.
King struggled to find anyone in his corner. What about Charlie Dempsey's moustache? Maybe that can be your corner man, hey? Anyway, Julia and Stephanie Beckworth versus Fatal Influence. And even with the best efforts to Fatal Influence, who are we kidding? Julia and Stephanie picked up the big win. Jordan eliminated Nix at ringside, and Julia and Vakua hit the G trigger into the package net breaker on JC Jane to seal it. But we ran over, even with like 2 minutes left. Fatal Influence spun the wheel for the Spinner's Choice match, Halloween Havoc, but the lights went out, and Zariah appeared on the stage for 10 seconds as then the broadcast cut out.
They cut that fast. On my screen, she popped up, and I was like, oh, wow, she looked cool. And then the CW logo was blocking her, and then it just whoop, and I was just like, what the hell? They cannot be what they intended.
Did she put the wrong location on Google Maps? Did she? Or is this a plan, again, building excitement towards Halloween Havoc? Because surely it can't just be Fatal Influence versus Kalani Jordan now. Like, they can't be doing us, can they?
That's a good point. That's a good point, because I really don't know. And it's just like, yeah, the entire vignette, Halloween Havoc. That's what she's going to show up, and then she shows up right before. Like,
oh, sorry, I got my coat.
A little early. A little early. It is interesting, like, that's a great shot though. It's interesting to see what is she going to do. Is one of the people, or is Fatal Influence going to lose that match and then say something disrespectful about Australia or something? Like, what are they going to do to get her out there? It's going to be fun, I guess.
Fucking hell. So anyway, we've come to the end of the update, as it was.
What happened to Easy Dane?
Well, Brindley Rice. I can't remember her name now. She's like Carly Bryant. Names in my head. I don't know where they're coming from.
See, he debuted too many women, so now it's just like random names are popping up. And I'm like, where are they?
And it's probably on Impact, to be fair. So we look back at 4 episodes. We've talked about it. What are your thoughts on the first month on the CW? We didn't even mention NXT beating AEW in the ratings, even though that's not kind of a big thing anymore.
It's not even news at this point.
No. Okay, I'm just like, right. Yeah, all right. But what are your thoughts on NXT on CW and kind of where the landscape is going? You know what I mean? So we got got Halloween Havoc tomorrow night.
Yeah, man. I'm expecting a really big show. Like they've been on a really good run. I think we talked about this when No Mercy. We talked about it. They've been on a good run of giving us really entertaining PLEs. Even if some of the stories are hit or miss on the weekly television, they usually load up the PLEs with some really good matches and the conclusions or continuations to some decent stuff. Halloween Havoc has, to me, if you've been watching NXT's version of it, in my opinion, that's always have been, they always seem to do really good. If you remember, just think about all the fun we've had over the last 4 years, basically watching Halloween Havoc. So I'm expecting another fun show. I wonder who's gonna do the reoccurring horror vignette, if it is to be some, if it's gonna be any tomorrow. It'd be nice to see what that looks like. But besides that, like you said, I think the CW is a good platform so far, to kind of get the most efficient type, storytelling out of them. I don't mind the new, channel, and just from what I hear, that the ratings they were expecting, which is very funny. It's very funny when you read articles like that and you hear that they were expecting like 500,000 the first show and respecting those type of ratings, and then they saw the 730 or almost 800,000 that they did the first week, and CW was over the moon, and like they've been averaging basically what they were averaging on USA. So it's really cool that so far NXT has kind of got them a nice chunk, nice little fan base chunk that seem to be really invested in what they've been doing, and they've continued to grow that audience weekly. So it's been really cool, man. I don't mind it. I don't think a lot has changed as far as like storytelling goes. But I do think we're in a new era, and it's really, really cool to kind of just be here along the journey of their evolution. Because it's like, again, this time next year or in a couple of years, we'll have a different era and a different paint job for the logo, probably. But it's always cool to kind of just watch where we've been going, and this is the healthiest, in my opinion, if you're just going off the roster and you're just going off the way the storytelling. And again, I will always give respect for the depiction of the women's division, even if we're not so sure what everyone is doing. It is still very, very deep and very strong, at least in its presentation so far. It is literally the most interesting thing they have going when you think about Cora, Roxanne, and Stephanie and Julia. So this is really cool. This is really cool time to be an NXT fan.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, we talk about maybe Nikita Lyons can show off her pumpkins at Halloween Havoc. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, it's a really good place at the moment. And it's weird because Halloween Havocs, like I said, is where we started properly, if you know what I mean. No, we did like a month leading up to that. But like I said, the Priest Gargano match from Havoc, I think that year is something that I still remember now. So again, hopefully we get a moment like that. Whilst we're here, then, we'll do predictions. It's a 5-match card. And again, cards subject to change, but who knows? We're meant to be the experts. And like an NXT PLE low, I think the top matches are kind of easier to call than the ones that I'm not sure about. If you know what I mean. So,
right. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. The bigger the match, the easier to predict.
Yeah. So I think we'll do like the 3 big ones first, and then we'll, So we'll start off with Trick Williams versus Ethan Page for NXT title. Spin the wheel, make the deal, Devil's Playground. Monty, which way do you see this going to start us off?
Again, I really love what Trick and Ethan have been doing with their story. I think Trick Williams will win the match and continue his run as NXT champion. And if it wasn't for the whoop that Trick chance, I would predict or I would assume Ethan Page and him would do like a double turn, because I don't know if you got this feeling, but listen to Ethan Page kind of break down his journey and kind of be so passionate, and then how he kind of talked to Trick, and then just how kind of Trick kind of dismissed it, and just also, just being Trick, who Trick is, being charismatic and being himself. I love Trick as a heel. I'm not trying to say that I can't, but I just don't know if you could still do and still get the pop with the whoop that Trick chance if Trick turned heel. But like, it would be kind of cool to see if they would even try a double turn. But honestly, overall, I see a very, very fun, competitive match. But it's gonna be, I get what is this match, first of all? The nightmare type of thing. Like, is it just street fight with just a name?
Well, the Devil's Playground. What is this?
Like, what do you do in
this?
A
Belfast Brawl, or a Guerrilla Warfare match, or a no DQ match, or a no count out match, or a full count anywhere match, or a one full match where the only rule can be achieved by pinning an opponent. It's basically an unsanctioned match.
Right. Got you. I'm like, I kept thinking about the weird name, and I'm just like, so no DQ? So what is it? Okay. But anyway, got you. So yeah, I'm expecting entertainment. I'm expecting like a really fun high spot, maybe a Trick knee off something high, reminiscent of like Priest and Finn Balor's match not too long, a few years back, I guess on our very first show that we did. But I'm still expecting Trick to win, though. I think Trick Williams will walk out champion.
I think this is the thing. But again, the question is, all this talk about the women's division and everything else, it just makes me think, what's Trick's you know what I mean? What's his role now as we head to like even stand and deliver? And I feel credit to Ethan Page that he will need someone to show up to, maybe like Page did of, a challenger that is there. Whether that happens after this match, or maybe we'll have the Wesley for a couple of months till someone else. But I just feel Trick will need someone else to kind of, get through that stage. But yeah, I think Trick is pretty much, yes, I think that's the one I'm 100% about. The other ones, again, the next one, Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade versus Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. For me, it's Julia and Stephanie. Again, we've seen this in the build-up with Rox getting the victory. So I don't think Julia has actually officially won in NXT yet, if I'm right. So again,
other than Chelsea,
Chelsea, So tag team match. I forgot about Chelsea. So this tag match to get the victory. I mean, again, would I be surprised if Perez and Jade cheated to get the win? I probably wouldn't. But again, I just think Julia, Stephanie get the victory, and then we can move on to the next stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think as much as I wouldn't be surprised, I just don't think that's the logical progression. Just from my point of view, I don't think the logical progression would be to give the victory to Cora and Roxanne. I don't think they really need it. I think also a great way, in my opinion, to kind of protect Roxanne from getting pinned, or you can choose Stephanie or Julia to pin her here, but I'm most likely assuming Cora will take a pin for that team. But I think again, you're 100% right. Though. I think you're on the money. Stephanie and Julia, the way they've been kind of depicted so far, and the way the heels have kind of went scurrying whenever the odds were even. That kind of shows you that this is supposed to be like a dream team in a sense. And I think they're gonna win. I think it's gonna be a good showcase of PLE. It's the first like PLE type of thing other than the debut. So I think No Mercy we got to see Julia, and she's had the debut of the network was a big show, but it wasn't a PLE. So I think at this PLE event, it would be logical, in my opinion, to give Stephanie and Julia a great big victory, and then you go from here and you kind of maybe even plant the scent during this match. But I still think they win, and you pick the relationship of Julia and Stephanie apart because we know they both want to be champion, and I think that's probably the next logical step. But I still think that they win.
Yeah, you got to do the Highlander of there can only be one, and we'll get that match down the road. Up next, Tony D versus Obafemi for the North American title. And what's weird, spin the wheel, make the deal with tables, ladders, and scares, which obviously we know what it is. But the match can only be won by pinfall, which does maybe change my opinion a little bit, because I thought, well, at least it's a ladder match. But Oba losing twice in such quick succession. Monty, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this was like I said, it kind of got tough because I can see Shawn Michaels doing what he's done so many times and not going the way that we conventionally think he would go, because even though we just saw him lose, it was a competitive match. But then you give a guy like Obafemi a match with no rules, a straight up fight, and then we can't I don't expect to see the family to be there to kind of help out at all because of what he just did to them all by himself. Man, it's really hard to pick against Obafemi, but I'm gonna go against my first mind, and I'm gonna say Tony D finds a way, and I think Obafemi moves on. And you mentioned Trick Williams needing that next guy. I don't know if he's gonna go directly for Trick Williams, but I think the teases will definitely be abundant going forward because Obafemi can definitely be that next guy.
Yeah, and I think for me, Rizzo might be the difference in this matchup. I don't know.
Oh yeah, great point.
A low blow or something like this, and
great point.
Getting involved. But again, Oba could just, like you said, flatten the fuck out of Tony D. Walk out.
He could just kill him, and then
we're back again. You know what I mean? Obafemi around the world cheering. And then another one, again, Andre Chase versus Ridge Holland, an ambulance match. Now, I do like Chase U, and I think for me, after Ridge being so dominant, Andre to come in and get the win would make sense. But as I mentioned, Trick does need challengers, and Ridge Holland and Trick. I mean, is that a money match? No, but can that fill a month of programming? Maybe.
Right. The threat of him
again,
hurting him could be a way to make it interesting.
Ridge could lose this, but it'd have to be like stupidity of like diving towards the door and Andre to like move. It can't be like definitive, can it? Do you know what I mean? Like if it was a singles match with like a pin, I might be like, oh, Andre. But I just think Ridge is going to murder him. I just think that. So I've got to go Ridge in the ambulance match, even though probably up until about 3 hours ago, I was probably Chase U.
Yeah, you know what? That's the funny thing about it. The way I was thinking about it from the way I remember it is like they've already kind of did the gimmick of riding Andre out of the ambulance. So it's like, are we going to put him in an ambulance again so soon? So that's why I was like, yeah, no, Andre's going to win. But I just think that if whatever story they're trying to tell with Ridge Holland, if he can't beat Andre Chase, as much as I like Andre Chase, I will never mistake him for being intimidating or the next NXT champion. So I agree. I think he should beat the hell out of Andre Chase, and and I think he should win. And you're 100% right. I couldn't fathom in my head maybe a Duke appearing, but it's just he's already kind of he beat him down. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe if the whole entire Chase youth helps, I can see it happening. But again, I just feel like it's a waste of my time with Ridge because why am I watching him on my screen dominate just for him to lose in another scenario that could have got him closer to another goal? So yeah, I'm on Ridge too, as much as I can definitely see Andre Chase still winning.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, the final match is the Women's North American title, Kalani Jordan versus one member of Fatal Influence, which would be Henley, Jane, or Nyx. It's a spin will make the deal. It's a spinner's choice. So it's their choice where to make it a match. So whether they make it into a handicap match, maybe, but again...
maybe. That's exactly what they need to do. Like, I'll be mad if they do anything.
but then, does that open the door for, well, I say Delta, but you know what I mean? Like, because we did see that at the end of this NXT. So is there a chance she could be put in the match, or is it just a stare down with Jordan afterwards? If she was to win, I mean, it could be Influence. Who knows?
it could be Influence. Exactly. Man, like you said, I think that's what kind of makes this tough to predict. I like Kalani. I do not think that she has proven much so far as champion. I think she definitely has room to improve. I think we kind of talked about that in the past. But I also wouldn't be surprised if maybe, I don't know, maybe they give it to I can't even say her name at this point. Fallon. Maybe they give it to Fallon Henley and or something. And that but like how would it even work? You make it a handicap match, how would it work? But I'm assuming, just like you say, I think the smart thing would be handicap match, and if we pin her, it is what it is. But yeah, I just don't know how do you weave her into the match and make it make sense other than her just coming out to help? Is it like, I guess they can do handicap no DQ or something, or what?
We didn't mention that. I mean, she could join Fatal Influence.
Holy shit, no. I mean, if that happens though, that would change the entire complexion of how I think about them. Man, she is really fatal, and I guess everybody else has to be influential if that's the case. But yeah, man, I'm gonna play it safe, even though I'm probably gonna be dead wrong because you just introduced a lot of scenarios that could make this interesting. But I'm trying not to overthink it, so I'm gonna say no matter how it works out, Kaylani survives, just because I just don't really see where we're going, where would we be going. I don't think you need to make a faction just for them to end up with that belt. Just from my point, estimation.
Part of me thinks, and I completely agree with you, but because we've got the same, I think about just going complete opposite, and I'll probably get more points. Do you know what I mean? Because this is NXT.
Yeah.
There's always
he's gonna
stuff
do
that
something.
happens. Yeah, there's always going to be
Yeah.
two matches where you're going to be like, oh, okay, right, fucking
Son of
hell,
a
why didn't we
bitch.
see that? But at the
Right.
moment, we have gone the same. So that is it for kind of NXT with Halloween Havoc tomorrow.
Let's just
Hopefully
play
we'll
it safe
catch up.
for a change, and then we both
Yeah.
can be like, "What the hell are you doing,
Yeah,
Sean?"
exactly.
When
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
or something.
We've actually sat and discussed it now, so there's no really kind of
Right.
excuse. So we'll catch up with NXT hopefully in about 3 weeks' time with Halloween Havoc and then whatever we got to stick on, like I said. But the question is now, Monty, I mean, it's Halloween and we want like scary subjects. Do you want to do a little bit extra before we go?
Let's go. What's up?
Well, no, what I was going to do, and again, maybe we'll shorten it because I don't know about the length, but I just wanted to talk to you about the Mr. McMahon documentary.
Oh, okay.
Because again, there's been these news stories coming out, but we've not covered it on the podcast, and I just wanted to kind of go through it with you and just see what you thought of it as well.
All right, let's do it.
All right, cool. So we start. I've made notes, and hopefully, if it goes too long, we'll cut it short. But first off, episode 1 was called Junior, and Shane McMahon was there, and he was a good talking head. They're letting us know the interviews were done beforehand as well. Vince saying he didn't want people to know him, you know. Should I say as well with the talking heads, we talked Shane was good. Hulk is not and never has been a credible witness in anything. He was thick as thieves with him. And again, it's incredible that they did ask. And I don't know why they asked Tony Atlas. You know? Like, again, out of everybody in history.
He was available, I guess.
A bit of light relief. Like, yeah, so I don't know if they were just like, I don't know. And Brett still has it as well. He calls himself a true artist, which, again, you know. What's interesting, though, is that they try to explain wrestling to normal people, I suppose. Heyman here was gold, as he was a photographer in the old WWF days. Vince blames his dad. Well, at least he made up for it, I suppose. Imagine if Gorilla Monsoon would have bought the WWF. You know, like that was the story in episode 1. What would a gorilla WWF looked? Would it looked any different to Vince McMahon's WWF? We just couldn't even fathom that, could we?
It's hard to imagine. That's what I was thinking when I heard it. It was just like, it's. I can think about it, but like you mentioned, McMahon has been so ingrained. Everything about that company is so ingrained in his identity and his style. It's very hard to imagine what that would look like under someone else, you know. And but again, it's just so the amount of what ifs in general that you could just think about throughout history. You know, where would we be now if that was the case?
Yeah.
It's insane to think about.
Again, I didn't know how close it was for Gorilla to take control, so to hear that was pretty interesting. Linda looks happy. Well, she would. She's not been with Vince for fucking 20 years. JR was in the toilet of an NWA meeting hiding when he heard people discussing killing Vince. Obviously, that story wasn't on there, but the National Wrestling Alliance and everything like this, there were people. JR did tell a great story on the Legends Roundtable as well about people threatening Jerry Briscoe's life, you know, back in the day, and he goes, he's next to him in a gorilla position every Monday night, so they didn't do a good fucking job, did they? So, again, it just shows you in wrestling, not threats. Episode 2, Heat. Jesse Ventura wanted to form a union before WrestleMania 2. Can we guess who stews on him? Who did...
Good old Terry Hulk Hogan.
Oh, man. My God. I mean, at least Jesse never forgave him. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And he shouldn't have. And stuff like that is why it was always cool to see Sheik, you know, even if he was just keeping kayfabe alive, just saying fuck Hulk Hogan every day, because it just don't make any sense, you know. And it really made me think about how horrible Kevin Nash used to always talk about. You can say whatever you wanted about Shawn Michaels, or, you know, but he was a top. He liked him over Shawn. He liked Shawn over Brett, because Brett was making a lot of money but wouldn't ask for more money, because if Brett asked for more money, everybody else under him could make money. But that's why he liked Shawn, because Shawn would push Vince and ask for this and ask for that. And, you know, if Shawn could get these perks, other people up under him, friends and all that, could get these perks. And it kind of made me think about that type of, you know, relationship, and it's just like you can already tell what type of guy Hogan was. He was out for himself. If he was getting this and getting that, that's all that mattered. It didn't matter if anybody else under him or if the rest of the boys were just as good. It didn't make any sense, but typical though. Like, why am I? You're not surprised. Like, the more we found out about Hogan over the years, you can't really surprise me with much of anything.
No, doubt. You get the bullshit story of Andre not wanting to lose or going to a business for himself against Hogan. And again, I don't understand that. Bobby Heenan was one of the main reasons for the house of WrestleMania 3. And anybody ever disagrees with that, go back and look. It was Andre's association with Heenan that actually got people to believe into it. He was the Ultimate Pro and actually got 7 figures for WrestleMania 3 as well. So Bobby Heenan deserved that. Meltzer being a party pooper and letting us know Andre had been slammed and pinned and it wasn't 93,000 people. Yes, we know, Dave. It's wrestling, mate.
Oh, man, this made his day, by the way. Like, I just want to let you know that if it was anybody, like you mentioned Linda being happy, it's only one person I think was happier to be asked to come in and drop this knowledge, and that was Dave Meltzer. Man, he seemed to be overjoyed with this position on this doc.
But again, it's weird watching it as a wrestling fan for them to explain it to non-wrestling fans. And it's like them telling us Warrior wasn't the guy. And it's like, yeah, we fucking knew. Like, it was all the politics and stuff like that there as well. WrestleMania 7 and exploiting the Gulf War. No mention of moving arenas due to bomb scare, which means they just hadn't sold enough tickets. The steroid scandal, good old George Zahorian. I forgot about the World Bodybuilding Federation.
Oh, my goodness.
A drug-free sports entertainment was there from there as well. We see a real clip of Vince. Terry said he took steroids only 3 times. I'll tell you what, though, Phil Mushnick seemed like quite a cool guy. Anybody knows... we'll get onto him in a little bit. Anybody who knows the Jimmy Snuka story knows he's a piece of shit. We've spoken about it before. And then, obviously, the big story from this, which, again, the lawsuit has happened in the past, I think, week or so with this. Talking about in the 1990s, Garvin was accused of sexually harassing an underage ring boy who was fired from his job after refusing Garvin's advances. He later reached a settlement with the WF. Garvin, as well as Pat Patterson and ring announcer Mel Phillips, resigned after this incident. Vince McMahon was interviewed on Larry King Live. During the broadcast, Barry Orton called in and accused Garvin of sexually assaulting him in 1978 when he was 19. And Brett calls Mel Phillips a paedophile as well. So the case is, if he knew, why didn't he say something? Or was it something bigger? As we know, Pat was brought back a couple of years later. People said he was innocent, but Tony Atlas said he got his knob grabbed by Pat. And again, even the comment was kind of throwaway, but he's just like, what is there to believe? And there's no doubt there was something definitely going on here. And it's kind of the first time in a long time that there's been a light shone on it.
Yeah, like you mentioned, man, it's always been one of those underlying, like, backdoor type of, like, the deeper you delved into your wrestling fandom, I feel like for me, as I got older over the years, the more you started to kind of find out, the deeper you went down the rabbit hole, or you watch a shoot interview from some legend from back in the day that you remember hearing their name, and you just hear these stories. And, you know, a lot of that, especially with the Ring Boy and a lot of that type of stuff, Pat Patterson and the involvement, and everyone's involvement there, it's just always been a lot of he-say, you know, just a lot of hearsay about that. And you just never really could get cleared. I don't know if it was muddied on purpose because, like you mentioned, maybe it was something bigger going on. So it's always been muddied to protect people on purpose, or if it really is just that type of thing to where it's just started out as one thing, went somewhere else, and now it just kind of spread it, and now over the years it's finally, like you mentioned, and being brought up again. But it's just one of those things, man. You just never know. And I as someone like me who always trying to or at least from like a lot of your favorite wrestlers loved Pat Patterson, like The Rock, and a lot of people that I know worked really closely with Pat Patterson after he kind of came back from all of that. So to even still hear, you know, him being involved. I mean, even at the Stooges, like when he was on camera with Vince, as a child watching it, and my imagery of Pat Patterson, you know, was just way completely different than what you've heard about this situation. So it's kind of cool to see the perspectives and see it brought up, but I still don't know if we're any closer to actually knowing what happened or who knew, and you know what I mean. Like that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like how can we know? How can we prove?
Yeah.
Did anybody know?
We can only speculate. Vince O'Donoghue, Rita Marie was a female referee who was raped by Vince, but nothing happened. Vince blames Phil for the trial with the steroids as well. And Vince says he's got a problem with bullies and corporations with lots of money.
Intriguing, right?
It seems like things were really shit in 1993. If we did a pod back then, it wouldn't have been the same. Apparently, WWE stole stars. And of course, Terry speaking in the trial. Shane says he can't forgive Terry for that. And I like Shane more and more as these episodes went on, like we said. Like when he says that.
Yeah,
like,
oh my goodness.
I'm with you,
like,
Shane.
it's amazing. Like, yeah, and now now a lot of stuff I always wondered about makes sense. Like Shane's absences or certain things, because when you're growing up, you just always kind of told that this is a family business type of thing, and I always kind of picture Shane always being involved with that company, or and like even in the position that Triple H is in now, you always kind of picture Shane. But watching this doc really clarifies why Shane don't have much to do with that place anymore.
Right, episode 3, screw job. Wendy Richter being screwed. Moolah, no word on her being a pimp yet, though. So they didn't mention that. They mentioned the New Generation, the Monday Night War, and Brett getting screwed, but we have covered that. So, I mean, even if we haven't covered it, it has been covered so many times. As well as the Attitude Era. Yeah, the Attitude Era as well. Jerry Graham was the old man's face. And the Cray should have Mr. McMahon character on TV as well. We get the Attitude Era with Mike Tyson. Stephanie didn't know. When they were asking about Mike Tyson, she said, well, Tyson wasn't done for rape at that point. Yes, he fucking was.
Yes,
that's why he wasn't boxing.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
You gave $3 million to a convicted rapist. You did that.
Just because he was out of jail. I'm sorry, Stephanie. Just because he was out of jail.
Was like, he wasn't raping anybody at the rap party. Like,
right. What do you mean? He's such a nice guy. What are you talking about? I'm just like, yeah. It's Mike Tyson. It already happened.
Yeah, I know. Then we get the Owen Hart from Over the Edge 1999. Of course, I watched that event live. So that was 25 years ago now. So like a 13-year-old staying up at 2 o'clock in the morning and seeing that. Vince carried on, and he didn't tell the crowd because why would you? It's fine. One thing though that I didn't know, the blood in the ring, which they say was from Owen Hart, which I always thought was apparently not. It was from heat beforehand, where I think like the Road Dogg with the Brood as they were before, getting covered in blood. And again, Brett, they didn't murder Owen to get back at you, all right? So it's interesting to see that. Episode 5, Family Business. Shane talked about getting into the business. We hear about Trish and buying WCW. Weirdly enough, I was in America that day, and I put on the TV, and there was like a news thing about it, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with America? XFL interview with Costas and the real Vince appearing. WF New York, and of course change to WWE. Ruthless Aggression Era. John Cena. Triple H tells us Vince versus Stephanie in a street fight was 6 days before her wedding, which just shows you the kind of character Vince was. He wanted the wedding to be on pay-per-view. He wanted the wedding to be on pay-per-view as well, and he was upset when they said no. And it's interesting again. Shane was against Triple H and Stephanie, and they never let him forget it. You know what I mean? Even like 20 years later. Remember Shane?
Good point.
Like him. Any ideas people have turned down? Steph turned down Vince making her pregnant. I mean, what's wrong with her? That's a...
Yeah, what is she thinking?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
That's normal.
Every family, every daughter would want that, right? Yeah.
Come on. Trish said she had to drop the title because she didn't kiss a woman. She acted like a dog, but that wasn't enough, apparently. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
The old man was tough on Steph and Shane. I mean, Steph said Vince went easier on
Man.
her. Shane come up with the idea, wanted to buy the UFC, and Vince said no, but, use your own fucking money.
Use your money.
That didn't come back to haunt them, did it? Being
Idiot,
owned
man.
by UFC. But again, and Monty, I don't know if you remember, the Heyman story about Shane and Vince it's just shocking when you hear it as well.
Man, it was, again, I think sometimes it's funny that it was a real life story, but Paul is such a good storyteller that you want to believe it's dramatic, but no, the way he broke it down felt like Vince. Like, it felt very real. Like, I really believe that's how that conversation went. With the, you're gonna have to basically rip it from over a decision. This wasn't even like he was saying, "Yeah, Dad, I want to take the company over. You can retire," or something. He wasn't saying anything like that. It was literally just like a decision that they didn't agree on, and he's like, if you're gonna do that, then you're gonna have to kill me for it. And it's just like, what is wrong with this dude? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was the part. Sorry to interrupt, but it was like literally the bit where it's like, you pick up that knife and you stab me.
Right
but
there.
If you don't stab me, I will know you're not a man. And
You're
I will
not,
lose
right.
respect for you.
You're not man enough to kill me for it. It's like, what is wrong with you, dude? Like, and I think that's when I deduced that Vince himself had that. I don't know what Vince Sr. did to him, but he had his own unresolved dad issue, and he pushed that on to his son. Yeah. And thankfully Shane didn't turn out to be a psychopath to the extent that Vince is. But yeah, I think it had to be something, because if you pay attention, you can kind of deduce that Vince obviously had unresolved, type of daddy issues that he kind of, ruined his relationship with his son in that wave too, because of whatever he had going on with, like, feeling like he was going to be usurped or whatever it is, because it was too much tension there for it to be any kind of healthy father-son relationship.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, what's even crazier as well was that Shane was asking Vince to take control in 2009. So 15 years ago. So WrestleMania 25, Shane was looking to bet Vince out, and Vince was basically like, over my dead fucking body. Which, again, then pairs up with Shane leaving WWE around that point in time and not coming back for a while. I mean, imagine Shane McMahon as AEW Booker. Might be the greatest thing we ever have. Who knows?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Episode 6, the finish. Vince says he hears 3 voices. That's not weird at all. I mean, I hear that French one that tells me to kill people all the time and just don't listen to it. He thinks
Randy Orton's music is just a song, Vince. It's not supposed to be. Well, I want to get that checked out.
Vince thinks about sex a lot as well. I'm not going to lie. Battle of Billionaires. How Trump and Vince are friends. How are they not?
Of course they are.
How are they not?
They are. Yes, man. Birds of a feather, man. Birds of a feather.
Fucking hell. Vince McMahon's upset that his own death was ruined by Chris Benoit. Of course, the tribute. I actually recorded that as well, like on VHS, the Chris Benoit tribute show. I've got it upstairs somewhere, which you'll never be able to get anywhere else. But he says steroids were not to blame. We get Chris Nowinski. Think Posher Chase U, for anybody that's not seen him. He focuses on concussions and CTE, their brain disease from getting hit in the head. I'm sure Endeavour will tell us this isn't even a thing. All right? It doesn't exist.
Right. we cannot scientifically prove that there's a correlation. The same thing they do with American football.
It's a brain injury. We can't,
like, they literally smash heads all day, but we're like, well, we can't definitively prove.
And look, I'm like stone cold. I don't believe in it. Like Santa, I suppose.
Oh my God.
I don't believe it exists. Right?
I love Austin, man. Like, but man, if it was ever a time when somebody sounded like they had CTE, it was right then.
I mean, I've been dropped to my head, but no, it's like, goddamn kid, I've been dropped to my head, but I've never been dropped to my head. Do you know what I mean? That's stone cold.
I
Yeah, I would argue, but Benoit had the brain of an 86-year-old Alzheimer's patient. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Vince doesn't believe it, but wants to employ him because, again, have the enemies rather than having someone outside pissing in, have him inside pissing out. I suppose. Taker was an old school guy, likes chair shots to the head. You know, like George Hackenschmidt and
He
Frank
was
Gotch used
another
to do
guy
back in the day.
He was another guy that, while it was great to hear, he's another guy he's just too ingrained in that McMahon way to really get anything that you would, you know what I mean? Anything you could take of value. Because it seemed like any criticism you wanted to really give Vince, whenever Undertaker popped up, he did not. He always kind of came from that angle of, well, look at it this way. And it's just like, no, man, like, yeah, we know you took 100 chair shots, but that doesn't mean. But again, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like some people in this situation, I really, when they popped up on the screen, I kind of knew what to expect, and he was one of them.
The best thing about that, and again jumping forward a little bit, was talking about Taker's streak ending, and him saying about, you know, chair shots should be fine, all this lot. Taker said he was concussed, and Vince went with him, so left WrestleMania to go to the hospital. But Vince said that wasn't the reason he can't remember the match. It was just because he lost.
Just because he lost. Vince, what are you talking about?
Come on. Don't you see? Connect the dots. Like there.
Yeah. Undertaker, somebody think for a second. Oh, never mind. You got CG, so I guess.
They mentioned wrestlers dying young. Armin Ketchum asked a question. Vince got in his face because why wouldn't you? Eddie's death was glossed over because that didn't bring in a drug test like Benoit's did, I suppose.
Right.
PG era,
which is a heart attack. You can skip over it, I guess.
Yeah. PG era, Women's Revolution, where Stephanie gets credit. They were going, this is Stephanie. Is that anything to do with anybody else?
Wow.
This is all Stephanie. Sexist, you know. Anyway, Shane returned in 2016. I mean, best not talk about his in-ring contribution, but a nice moment with his sons. You know, like he said, Shane is not the dad his one was, where, you know, having that moment with his sons coming out of him at WrestleMania 32. We saw Shane's stunts through time, and again, if it was ever of like a cry of help of "Love Me, Daddy," you will never see anything else more kind of upsetting in your life. You know,
Good point, man. He was willing to do anything for that man.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 32.
Off the top of the Hell in a Cell. But he said Vince did give him a hug and said he was proud. So that's what he wanted. But what I found really fucking weird, and again, it's the treatment of Shane, and then Vince called himself like the patriarch, and the father-son relationship he's got with Undertaker or John Cena, and of course, like Shawn Michaels. And it just seems like he did that with the main event talent, but not his own son.
It's insane. It takes me back to I don't know if it's a famous tweet, but I'll never forget, man. This man gave John Cena a paragraph on his birthday on Twitter one year. It was a nice paragraph talking about how great he was, and then not too however many months whenever Shane's birthday came around, it was happy birthday at Shane McMahon. It's like,
awful.
Bro, come on.
I'm laughing, but it does hurt a little bit. I mean, Shane did want to be next in line, but Stephanie did skip him. Hunter was promised as successor. AEW was mentioned. Cody joining WWE. And then Vince was asked. He doesn't see himself retiring. Sean says as long as he's got breath in his lung. Booker said it would take a nuclear bomb. We get to 2022, and Wall Street Journal reporting that Vince McMahon paid a former subordinate months earlier. Caused a series of anonymous emails. We have spoken about this story before. Not paying her, basically using her as this kind of dirty puppet as it was. Vince did appear on SmackDown with, I think, Thank You Vince chant as well, with Vince announcing his retirement for WWE on July 22nd, 2022. Steph was on SmackDown with a Thank You Vince chant, but he returned to the board on January 6th, 2023 as the executive chairman of WWE. And then there was another complaint against him from, of course, Janelle Grant. this was the end of Vince at this point. No one mentioned Vince's moustache with the takeover, the sale to Endeavour, and Steph resigning after Vince retiring. Kind of all connected with her then coming back. In 2024, Bruce Pritchard said no one knows why Vince left and came back. We fucking do. And again, Bruce was another one who was like, you see this Vince, but he saved my wife from cancer. He saved her from cancer, did he? Why isn't he not going around doing it for more people then? Do you know what I mean? Like one person who's got that ability.
The healing powers of Vince McMahon.
Yeah. And Bruce doesn't think
the
documentary's impartial. Like, what the fuck? Brock Lesnar mentioned Ashley Mazzaro and her tragedy, WrestleMania 40, and then back to 2021 where people talking about legacy and saying people don't really know him at all. This is what Vince is saying. He knows what he's looking at. He doesn't know where the character starts and where it stops. But I think the last bit we should leave to Terry Bollea because in 2022 he says he doesn't think the business will last without Vince McMahon.
Okay.
And yeah, we're celebrating our new golden period of it. But again, just to look at the McMahon doc, there was a lot of stuff there that obviously we have covered and has been covered in the past. There's a few interesting bits of stories and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But for me, this just felt Netflix of like, this is our story, but don't worry, guys, because Vince is not connected to this anymore. I don't know if you took away much else from that.
I think you're 100% on mark. I think it was just a great way to kind of, we're going to tell this story. We're going to try to catch up casuals, but I think they tried to play both ends. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to touch on it. Say acknowledge some of the things that he's been accused of. But we also want to still, if you are a new fan or someone who, because if you think about it, I think not primarily, but it feels like a lot of this was meant for new fans because a lot of these stories, like I mentioned, especially the hardcore wrestling fans, the hardcore WWE guys and girls, know a lot of this stuff or have heard versions of these stories before. So to kind of watch them retell it, but then try to put this, this and that. I think, like you mentioned, the best moments were some of the untold angles of stories we heard before, but also to hear some of that stuff at the end and to kind of get to, because again, I a lot of what Ronda Rousey have said in the past have always came off as, she's bitter, but I can't even say bitter because, like, it also could just be her being honest of how she felt while being there. And I think when you have someone like Pritchard, who we always knew has always been the right hand of Vince McMahon, saying some of the things he say, or when you have so many guys coming out, I think Mark Henry has even said stupid or, insensitive and dumb comments in reference to this situation with Vince. And just because he is Vince, it's really concerning. And you just kind of hope that, that his influence is still not leaking into the company in any way. I know that's what they're trying to tell us in this message, but you're also trying to minimize the bad guy that Vince comes off as or has obviously been exemplified as. So, in like, what point do you have to still get in front of if he's not involved anymore? You see what I'm saying? Like, he's not involved, you don't have to. Why do you still have to do it this way and not be completely honest about the things we know and the things we've heard about? But again, I still think it was a positive thing. I just don't think any wrestling fan, anyone like from me and your vantage point, would pick up anything new or anything good from it other than the fact that, okay, I guess it was interesting. Somebody might really enjoy this. Some casuals really might get a kick out of it, especially if they didn't know a lot of this stuff. But it was still a lot of safeguarding and a lot of protecting of the, like, in the national and over here in America, it's a phrase that people do when at the end of the day, if you're an NFL player or NFL personality, you protect the shield, as in you protect the National Football League, you protect that brand. And I feel like that's what a lot of this was, a lot of protecting the WWE logo that a lot of them have on their chest, Yeah,
without a doubt. And even the faces shown were the kind of the faces of the company throughout the years, even with Cody and John Cena towards the end. But I think my biggest takeaway is I knew Mr. McMahon or Vince McMahon deep down was a piece of shit. You know, like we kind of all knew that. Yes,
Right.
he changed the world professional wrestling was, you know, and is. The question is, would someone else have done it if he wasn't around? Probably eventually with the advent of cable and stuff like this. But again, credit where credit's due. But what I took away was the fact of Shane McMahon. And all he wanted was a love from his
100%.
father. And I think it showed he wanted to be, you know, all these questions of why didn't Shane, you know, become the next Vince McMahon or whatever it is. And again, I think it shows why he did and didn't. You know, he just didn't have that darkness about the character that we see. And I think Shane has come off with all the stories with Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble and all this stuff. I think it just comes across as actually he just wanted his father's acceptance. And, you know, don't we all want our family's acceptance at the end of the day? I think that's
he's the most relatable person in that entire situation. All like 100%.
And again,
by far the most relatable.
Yeah, you heard stories back in the day of Shane being not the nicest McMahon, and I think this just proves, yeah, he didn't maybe have, you know, that. But again, it wasn't to his detriment. It was actually, you know, positive for him. But that's basically it. I think we've covered, like I said, we had a little bit scared with the Mr. McMahon documentary with the Halloween stuff. We've done NXT updates, so that is it for today. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast, I'm at the WNR J. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where people find you?
At Monty Pod. You can find me, like you said, on Twitter. That's usually where I'm at if you want to get in touch with me. I have some exciting things that I'm working on, still trying to figure out when I'm going to schedule and get things out. But, yeah, we are at Monty Pod on Twitter. Hit me up.
Right, WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us an email to WNRpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube and podcast where we'll latest clips and podcasts go at the same time. YouTube do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes. We can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode will be next week. AEW Wrestle Dream. We will get round to that and all the fallout from All Elite Wrestling as well. But until then, I've been James Jones and I was joined by the mind of Monty. Monty, I appreciate you joining me and another update in the can as we look towards Halloween Havoc.
Yep, can't wait. Hopefully, we both get a perfect, or we both can complain about why Sean always has to screw us over.
Can the experts win? We'll find out on the next update. But that's it. Thanks for this, everybody, and bye.